This project is a dolium maker. These are called Gavari in Georgian and Jarri in Italian. They're the large, the Spanish have a word for them. They're the giant 300 and 400 liter jars, ceramic jars that are used to make wine and were in the old days and are returning into favor as the price of French oak and other oak goes up and gets scarcer. So let's see if we can build a machine that will make building these jars a simple and fast process. At present, rope building is used. The clay is formed into a rope and then added to the lip. And this is a very good way of building a strong jar because you don't have a lot of water in the clay when you do this, and so there's not so much shrinkage, and the clay is strong, and you build it up a few feet at a time, and then let it go to leather, what they call leather. Potters will know what I'm talking about, so that it's strong, and will support the next few feet of building, or I don't know how many inches, but anyway, the idea is to use little clay, which is already strong because there's not a lot of water in it, and then let it go to leather, and this is how you build it up. Now, the water concentration in the clay is, of course, of utmost importance when throwing a super large pot, because it has to be low for strength to keep it from slumping, to keep the pot from slumping. But at the same time, it has to be high enough to allow the clay to be actually worked and pushed around. We're talking about a slow moving wheel, but it is possible to throw a large pot with a slow moving wheel. And this is done, I have seen this online in YouTube and other places. So let's get on with it. The first drawing is of a heavy, massive wheel supported on four sides and the center by four smaller wheels underneath, and rotating in the opposite direction, and the center pivot. And on this wheel, made out of concrete, I suppose, would be a good material to make it out of, is a mass of clay. Now, in the center of the wheel has a point where a rod may enter, a guide rod may enter right through the clay, and there drops down PVC in a shape that will depress into the clay, pushing it outwards slowly as the wheel turns. And of course you have to add water to make it slippery. And this PVC, 4 inches PVC, is filled with concrete for weight. So this is done automatically. It's just allowed. Now, as it pushes down and pushes outward, you have to stop it from going off the wheel and build it up. And there's a PVC post which may be rotated, and on this are sleeves and pieces of PVC at very various angles. So you can angle you can push these in and press the PVC up while the center PVC slowly pushes down. And you don't have to have a tremendously soft clay for this, because you can put a lever into these and stand back and press into it while spraying water onto it, and therefore get the clay to move up and out and up until you have basically a half a jar or a half a billion. Okay, then trim the top using a level and a fixed level, and let it go to leather. Now, by doing 2 of these, you can take one, take it off, and turn it over and put it on top of the other with slip applied, of course, to the edge. And you will have a full jar. Now you can do tricks, you can do decorations with, and you can make fluting and that, if you look at the different suggestions for the presser, you can see that you can do fluting with simply PVC tees connected by short sections of PVC pipe, and you can also throw a lip on in a separate operation. This would be very easy. It could be done by hand. You just make a large mass of clay and throw a lip by hand. You wouldn't need any special machinery, and then add this lip to the top of the jar after it's gone to leather and can be handled. So there you have it. It's heavy work, especially loading the clay and wedging the clay and loading the clay onto the wheel. But the actual throwing, because levers can be added to and these things are rigid, arranged, and there is gravity driving the inside hand down. This can be done with less work than you would think. And as I said, I've also suggested a way of moving these jars, which is simply a coil of black PVC pipe. And if you drill holes through at the point where the pipe naturally always comes under the collar of the under the widest point of the barrel, the ceramic barrel, and then stretch the pipe out, the coil of pipe down, put it down, and then put the pins through. The pipe will be stuck there, and you'll have a point at which you can lift these things and move them around, and using the pipe to gather the entire mass and weight and the roll of black PVC pipe, and you won't risk breaking these jars. As for firing them, if they're loaded with wood, not particularly good wood, but dry wood, and a small fire is started inside, and they're covered, and air is allowed in through a black pipe, you would have to have a fired lid covering them with a small hole for air to be allowed in, pushed in through a blower. Then you could start a slow fire and get it going until the clay was absolutely dry and warm. And then you could lean galvanized sheeting, corrugated sheeting up against it, and then add more air, increase the amount of air entering until you got a really hot fire going. And then once the fire is really hot and air is coming in, you're going to get a 1200 degrees that you need to fire these into terracotta. And the galvanized sheeting on the outside will make certain that the clay is thoroughly fired right from inside to outside. So there you have it. This could be done in any, it wouldn't even need a dry climate, which would be, of course, be a help, but you could do this in outside sheds in the north, as well as just outdoor sheds without walls. In other words, sometimes called pole barns. And you would have no problem. The smokiness of it would not be a problem, at least not with, if you burnt tires, that might be a problem in it, but if you just burnt wood, clean burning wood, I don't think the smoke would be objectionable. And in certain areas, you might even be able to do a firing with straw, but this would have to be done on an experimental basis, and the straw would have to be loaded in, and it might take 2 firings, once to get the clay mass up to about 400 degrees, 350 degrees or 400 degrees, and a second firing, you could load the straw right in. There would be nothing in there but ash, and as long as it wasn't above the ignition point, which is 412 or something like that, you could just load it with straw again and start it again and introduce the air, and you could get your full firing with nothing more than dry straw. So there you have it. And I hope we find an investor, because this would be a lot of fun, and I would love to build the machine and work with the workers who would do the actual construction to get something going here.